The reality is television still very much matters. I think that we for a while have been saying, how can TV be more like digital and how can digital be more like television? So I feel like all of the issues that surround that are really coming to a head at this particular moment. I think the question is, what is the definition of advanced advertising? If we're talking about truly addressable, having the full two-way footprint, we're ways off from that being at scale. And so I tend not to think as much about advanced advertising. But certainly when we look at the capabilities with dynamic ad insertion in VOD or some of the other things that are happening in the OTT landscape, there's no question that we're moving to more advanced television advertising. But the crux of what is happening right now is much more about targeting, advanced audience segmentation. And right now what you see is essentially every network or network group has their own approach to how they bring more optimization into the mix. For years, we've been dealing with a world where it was really ratings on programs. When that competes with a world where we're looking at viewable impressions, in a very different kind of content, a lot of contrasts that are being made, particularly this week around brand safety. But when we look at that contrast, there's no comparability of the currency. So right now, as everyone pursues their own solution, it's really a time for the industry to come together, the buy side and the sell side, people who would traditionally look at each other as competitors, and come together around new standards and ways to transact, because but for an industry solution, it's very hard to see how we will really get to scale, because we have to look at the customer on the other side. That's a marketer that wants to be able to take the same segment across different places, compete viably in the marketplace, and really understand the value that they're getting out of advertising. That's the pressure around where television advertising is going today. For the publishers who are working to monetize their content, there's no question that the biggest pressure is first and foremost to market themselves differently, to take control, as you said, to take control of how they acquire their customers and achieve distribution. For so long there have been dependencies on many of the largest players in that landscape, and the more that everyone adopts a direct-to-customer approach, the more people can really control their business model. The other side of it is looking at a much more diverse set of monetization opportunities. I think that if you look at digital display, we're at a very mature, plateaued, perhaps over time declining side of the marketplace, because there are more effective media out there, video obviously playing one of the most prominent roles, and consumers frankly having some challenges with some of the display advertising that interrupts their experiences. With that being the case, we really have to look at subscriptions, the value exchange that we have with consumers, how we look at compensating transparently for the use of data and what that value exchange that enables a consumer to want to provide their data. I think there's a lot more transparency that's going to enter the ecosystem, and it'll continue to challenge the publishers' revenue models. The old world of simply looking at more content, great distribution, monetization, and that everything was going in the right direction, I think those days are fast becoming not the reality, and so we have to look at very different ways to drive the business. Commerce, subscriptions, experiential, and a host of other things are where most of the publishers we're talking to are focusing their efforts.